What's up, guys? Let's go ahead and talk about what to expect and what you should know for buying an LG phone for 2022. So we know LG left the market, but what a lot of people don't know is that LG made a promise to still update their recent phones. So we're going to start off with that and which phones are actually going to get updated. I've made this video before, but we're just going to run through it again. So the LG V60, the V50, the G8, the G8X, the LG Wing, and a few other of their newer mid-range phones. But we're just focusing on the flagships today, and also the LG Velvet. Now, I know you guys are saying, well, what is the point of buying an LG phone? The point of buying these phones is that they're extremely cheap now, and they're just a great deal for using for the next at least 2 to 3 years, because that is what LG said they were going to update. So far, LG has not changed their mind, so we're going to be watching intently for those updates. So let's go ahead and start off with my absolute favorite LG device. This is the first device that anyone should consider if they really want to get an LG device to use for the next maybe 2 to 3 years. Is the LG V60. The price on this phone is extremely cheap. It literally is now come down to 300 bucks. This is a refurbished classy blue model that I have. This phone is an absolute beast. The highlights with this phone is that it can do dual screen functionality, so you can have two phones basically in one. It's got the quad DAC Snapdragon 865 chip, which means that it's a beast when it comes to gaming performance. This thing can play anything at high settings, no problem. And it's built like a tank as well. Super nice. The cameras on the V60 are also pretty good as well. I do not have an issue here. To me, you're still getting phenomenal shots on this phone. My favorite thing about this phone is definitely the color accuracy on here. It's just super clean, super nice. Absolutely love the image quality on the V60. Like I said, the color accuracy is just spot on. It's one of my favorite things about this phone. And the display on here is pretty nice as well. It's a really big display, 1080p panel, OLED display. Just looks absolutely gorgeous here. And it's, like I said, it's a very fast phone. This one is running Android 11, so we'll be looking for the Android 12 update for the V60. But this will be my #1 and favorite pick out of the bunch here. So let's go ahead and talk about the LG Velvet here, because this phone is very impressive as well, and I believe it is a little bit cheaper than the V60 now. Let's go ahead and find out here, because the prices do fluctuate a lot. So let's see. I believe this phone has come down a bit in price too. Yeah, $268. It's a little bit cheaper. $250. I would try to buy it at like $250. Now, I like the Velvet, but it's kind of too close to the V60 now that the V60 has come into price. So recommending the Velvet over the V60 is kind of tough for me, because there's nothing that the Velvet really does that's better than the V60. In addition, the Velvet does not have the quad DAC. So I would say if you were thinking about getting a Velvet, you have to get it for a really good deal. Otherwise, I would just, sort of pass on it and get the V60. But this is a really nice phone. It has this super tall aspect ratio, and I think one of the unique things is, let me get a wipe down here. One of the unique things about this phone is the display. Hold on, that was terrible. One of the unique things about this phone is the build quality here. Look how beautiful this phone is. Beautiful design here. Look at that. One of LG's prettiest phones to come out. It's just a gorgeous looking phone. That's something that I really like. So the thing about this phone is it does have the Snapdragon 765G chip, which again is not going to be as good as the Snapdragon 865 in the V60. So that's why I said I think if you're considering getting a new LG phone, I would get the V60 over the Velvet, just because you have the stronger chip, quad DAC. This one does have the dual screen case capability as well. And the V60 does have slightly better battery life than the Velvet too. But overall, like I said, if you can find a good deal on a Velvet, I would say go for it. This phone is also, like I said, on LG's update list. And I believe this got the, some people said that this got the Android 11 update. I still haven't got mine, but it got it in, I think, Korea or something like that. So I still haven't got mine, but again, this one is not unlocked, so I wasn't expecting really to get it super soon like that. But the LG Velvet still a very good option as well. So let's go ahead and talk about something a little bit more interesting, and that is the LG V50. Very interesting here. So let's go ahead and check out the price on the V50 here. And it's a pretty interesting price because the V50 has come down to, I believe, 200 bucks. Yeah, 189 for the Verizon version. And again, this phone does have 5G. That is a phenomenal price. Pick this phone up for 189. I mean, that is awesome. And it's on LG's update list. Snapdragon 855 is still very capable of playing the latest games at high settings. It's got a beautiful 2K display on here as well. And that's sort of the special thing about this phone is the V60 and the Velvet do not have the 2K displays. This phone does have the 2K display, and that is awesome. It's one of my favorite things that I like about this phone. Super high res display on here, just really beautiful. And you do have the quad DAC on here. Now this one doesn't have the dual case capability. That is going to be the V50S. This is just the standard V50 that's usually sold overseas, so you really can't get it in the States. But yeah, I really like the V50. Great cameras on here. I think a beautiful underrated design here. It's one of those rare designs where the camera is completely flat. That and the G8 have the same sort of thing. And yeah, I really like this phone. So if you can pick up if you want a V50, I think that is an excellent deal. It's probably the best deal here, honestly. So let's talk about the G8X and the G8. So these two phones were on LG's update list as well. So they should be getting updates. And I really like both of these phones. Great cameras. Both have the quad DAC. There are some essential differences. The G8X can do dual screen case capability, which means again you can use it as two phones, and the G8 cannot, but the G8 has a 1440p display, so the display is just so much sharper than the G8X. You can watch 2K content on this phone, and you cannot do that on the G8X. As you can see, a slight difference with the notch as well. As you can see, just a bigger notch on the G8. Also, battery life is pretty much the same on both of these phones. I really notice a difference. Both have Snapdragon 855 chips, so they're both extremely powerful when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. So it really just comes down to, do you want dual screen case or a 2K display? Like I said, both quad DAC, expandable storage. They both have all the flagship bells and whistles. So again, it really comes down to that. So let's talk about the G7. I did a video recently about this phone, and guys, I have full videos on all of these phones, so be sure to check them out. But the G7 again is a very solid phone for 100 bucks. This can easily be somebody's secondary phone. I think it's just an excellent phone. It has a really beautiful 1440p panel. I think that's definitely the highlight with this phone. You also have the quad DAC, a really loud boombox speaker on here. The cameras definitely have aged. You can definitely tell it's an older phone. You take pictures. You can put a Gcam on, which will help, but it has the Snapdragon 845, so still a fairly strong chip. It's a stronger chip than anything you would find in a $100 Android phone. So again, this phone is still super powerful in terms of gaming and overall just bouncing in-app applications. So I like the G8 for, not the G8, but the G7 for 100 bucks. I think it's a no-brainer. So if you need a secondary backup phone, or if you just need a phone to give to a kid, you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is very powerful. It can play games no problem still, and also great display, quad DAC, great speaker on here. It's just a really nice phone for 100 bucks. I mean, like I said, one of the best you can get still today. Now the V40, unfortunately, is at another phone that's kind of at an awkward price. You can get a V50 for. We can get a V50, and here's the thing about the V40. It was left off of LG's update list. So, if you can get this phone for 100 bucks, I would say that would be a good deal. 120 max. Otherwise, don't buy it. Just go get a V50 because the price is too close to the V50 here. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. If we go ahead and type V40, you can see it's kind of the same price of the V50. Like, it's too close. $150 is too close. I would say 125 is fine. that's good, but 150, 170, that's way too close to the V50. But it's essentially the same as the V50. It just has the Snapdragon 845, and there's some few minor differences. It's still a great phone. Like I said, you can pick it up for cheaper. It's got the quad DAC, 1440p display, pretty good cameras. It can play games fine. The speakers are pretty good on here. Like I said, the V40 is fine. I wouldn't recommend it over the V40. And we do have the LG V35 here, which I haven't talked about in a while. Like I said, you know, the price on this one is kind of confusing as well. It's kind of jacked up, and honestly, it wasn't on LG's update list. Wouldn't really recommend it, but I really like this phone. It's a very fun phone. Very powerful still, Snapdragon 845, and it's got the no notch, and it's got this crazy aspect ratio, like the classic aspect ratio. You see how these phones are taller? This one has a more wider aspect ratio, kind of like a 4:3 aspect ratio. So I really like this phone screen. For some reason, that's the reason why I just kept it for so long. But V35, still awesome, still a good phone, but I wouldn't recommend it over a G7 or any of these phones, but still decent. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? If you're thinking about getting an LG phone, like I said, highly recommend V60, Velvet, V50, or the G8. I would highly recommend these. Also the LG Wing as well. That is also a great phone as well. That has come down dramatically in price too. So if you're into that whole concept of the flipping phone dual screen thing, then that's a very nice phone to have. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know. I'll catch you guys in the next one.